Today I'll be comparing the new P365 X Macro against the P320 Compact. Before I get to the accuracy test, I'm going to talk about a few differences. The weight of this P320 Compact is 27.6 ounces, and that weight is with an empty magazine inserted. The weight of the X Macro with an empty magazine is 21.4 ounces. When laying both pistols down on top of the sights, I can see that the overall height is right about the same. But remember that the X Macro carries 17 rounds in the magazine, and the P320 Compact carries 15. The P320 Compact that I'm using today is actually a P320 X-Carry Spectre. The X-Carry has a 17 round magazine and a longer grip, but I wanted to use something closer to the size of the X Macro for today's example. So I removed it and replaced it with this Wilson Combat compact size that you see here. So now it holds 2 rounds less than the original configuration, but it is closer in size to the X Macro. I didn't intend this to be a review on the Wilson Combat grip module, but as long as I'm showing you this, I'm going to go ahead and go over a few features of it. On the sides, they use the starburst pattern, similar to the pattern they're using on the EDC X9. It feels a little slimmer than the stock SIG grip or even the X-Carry Spectre grip, mainly due to this contour for your thumb placement, and also this high trigger guard undercut. It has sandpaper-like stippling on the front and back strap areas, and it's more rounded at the edge of the grip. It also has a rounded trigger guard versus the stock X-Carry squared-off trigger guard. I don't think one grip module is better than the other, but I would say that both the X-Carry Spectre and Wilson Combat grip are vast improvements over the standard P320 grip module. Here's a comparison of the grips looking at the base plates. There's the X Macro on the left and the P320 Compact on the right. You can see that the P320 is a little bit wider. And here's a view of the overall size of both grip modules next to each other. Looking at guns from the left side, you can see that the X Macro has a functioning compensator that's built into the slide. And the P320 has nice slide cuts, but obviously not compensated. If you're only looking at the muzzle end of the X Macro, it kind of looks like it's chambered for a 45 ACP. If you're wondering which one has less recoil, it's going to be the P320 Compact. Although the P320 is not compensated like the X Macro, it still has a little bit more weight. Those extra few ounces is just enough to cause it to shoot a little bit softer than the X Macro. However, the X Macro does shoot softer than a standard P365. If you're concerned about either one of these guns having too much recoil, don't be, because they're still chambered in 9mm and they just don't recoil very much to begin with. If you want to know which one shoots better or which one's more accurate, it's going to be subjective based on the individual operator. I'll just show you what I did on this particular day at 12 yards. Okay, let's see how I did with the S&B 115 grain. That's an okay group. Now let's try the X Macro using the same ammo. By the way, I'm not doing anything scientific here. I'm just shooting regular Weaver stance, strong hand supported. In layman's terms, that just means regular two-handed shooting. Okay, let's see how I did with the X Macro using the same ammo as I did with the P320. Same distance, 12 yards. And let's compare that to the P320. Alright, let's try some different ammo now. Now I'm going to be using Underwood X-Treme Defender plus P90 grain. This is traveling at 1,475 feet per second. And I'm not saying it has a lot of recoil, but the recoil is definitely sharper than a standard FMJ like I just fired. And I only have one box of this, so I'm going to conserve it. I'm only going to shoot 5 rounds with the Underwood. Let's see how I did. Okay, that's not as tight as I was hoping it would be with the Underwood X-Treme Defender. Let me compare that to the 8-shot group I did with the SMB using the P320. Yeah, definitely a difference. Let me see what I can do with the X Macro using the Underwood X-Treme Defender. Alright, let's see how I did with the X Macro. And there's my group using the Underwood X-Treme Defender, 90 grain plus P. Now I'm going to shoot the P320 using Monarch 115 grade FMJ. And here's my previous group with the P320 when I used the Underwood X-Treme Defender, and here's what I just fired with the P320 using the Monarch. Now I'll shoot the same ammo using the P365 X Macro. Let's see how I did with the P365 X Macro and compare that to the other groups. So there's the Monarch group with the Macro. There's the P320 shooting Monarch. There's the Underwood X-Treme Defender using the P320 and the Macro. And there's the SMB group. I just wanted to show you a side-by-side accuracy comparison between these two guns. If you found this video entertaining, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.